Vicky, sorry we had a little malfunction and, you know, there's something wrong. We haven't paid the electricity bill at BMG. But we're back. So, any more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Christina says, my favourite song is Life. I heard it for the first time when you performed it in Tampa. Love it. What inspired you to write it?
Life is really about life, you know, about everything that has kind of happened to me. You know, it's my way of kind of sort of showing my gratitude for what I do, for the people that support me, my family, my friends, you know, people I work with. Yeah, so it's really a tribute to all of that. It's my way of saying, you know, isn't it amazing that I get to do what I do? You know, I still get to do what I do, and I feel very lucky to do that. Love this song. You've obviously heard this live, and sounds good. Complete tribute to Sly and the Family Stone, one of my musical heroes.
We've got loads more questions coming in. Nick says, over the last few years, you've been touring endlessly. Now that the album's out, what is next?
More tours. And we're going to do, obviously I'm doing The Voice in Australia in February. Not sure what's going to happen in terms of gigs in Australia, but we're going to plan some stuff. Hopefully more work with Gladys Knight. If that comes off, that'd be amazing. And yeah, I mean, for us, I think like touring is really where all the love is now. You know, it's amazing to release records, but really everything, the road leads to the live shows. And having done, you know, the recent tour in America, which was amazing, you know, I really got a taste for performing live shows, and we'll be doing more of that, definitely.
Got a few hellos here. Hello to Tracy. She says, hi, George. I've waited 35 years to see you, and I'm finally going to see you in Birmingham with 3 of my children. Can't wait.
Good day, Tato Road. I can't wait to see you in Birmingham.
Hello to Daniel. He says, Boy George and Culture Club, I'm your #1 fan. I love you. Thank you and God bless. Kevin says, any plans for a tour to be recorded for a DVD?
Well, we did the Wembley show 2 years ago, and that's out on DVD. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like people recording live shows. I don't even really like the video clips that people post online. I just think, oh, watch the show. But you know, that's what people do, and you have to accept it. But it doesn't make any sense to me, because if I want something online, I'll post it myself. You know, I mean, in an ideal world, I'd be in control of everything, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So.
Got a few more hellos. Hello, Leanne, Helen, Raphael, and Katie.
Hello, Leanne, Ian, Raphael, and Katie.
We've got Pamela, Charles, and Adeline.
Pamela, Charles, and Adeline.
There's loads and loads. I'm just scrolling.
If you're out shopping, George.
Got a question from SG King. What is your writing process, and how do you decide when a song is finished?
Well, I always start with the idea, or it might even start with one line. You know, I'm writing a song at the moment called Everyone I've Ever Loved is Completely Flawed. So if you have a great line like that, a song often writes itself. And usually the lyrics are kind of inspired by some real life incident, you know. But some of it is really just kind of a stream of consciousness. Like you hear a piece of music and something comes out, and then sometimes you make sense of it after you've written it. Like you write it and you piece it together, and then you go, oh, okay, now I understand what this is about. I use a lot of magic realism in my writing. I read a lot of magic realism books, like Arundhati Roy, God of Small Things, Salman Rushdie, Midnight's Children. You know, I love that kind of writing that just paints these incredible kind of pictures. And sometimes I might read something and then kind of paraphrase it. There's a line in On the Water that I think I read in a poetry book. I wait for God to settle in my heart. And I thought that was such a beautiful line. I think I've changed it a bit, obviously. But I just like this, you know, the sentiment of it is coming up now. This line. And then the line after it, your faith is biblical, you know, oil and water, that's what we are. It's about kind of complicated relationships, but there are no rules about how a song happens. You know, sometimes you've got a really strong melody idea in your head and you just, you know, or you've had, maybe had a row with someone or something's happened that's, you know, kind of made you sort of really passionate about something and you want to write about it, you know. And then some things come together in the room, you know. Mikey might have a baseline idea. We do reference a lot of other music when we're writing. We listen to everything from, I'm always playing Geraldine by Las Vegas in the studio because I think that is one of the best produced records I've heard in the last 20 years. And that's an extreme thing to say. I'm not even a Libran or Aquarian. What's wrong with me?
I've got a question from Pascal. He asks, hello, George.
Hello, Pascal.
What is your favourite Netflix series and why?
Well, the last thing on Netflix I loved was this thing called Wild Wild Country, which is about Bhagwan Rajneesh, who is one of my heroes. That might surprise you. Some people watched this movie and were kind of shocked and appalled by the antics of Osho Bhagwan, but I still love Bhagwan and I still love my and Sheila. If you're watching. I thought it was an amazing film, documentary about the Bhagwan Rajneesh movement and how they built a city in Portland, Oregon. And it is incredible what they did, you know, and also, I guess in the end, they kind of lost their spiritual way, but it's a brilliant series. And I love The Crown. I thought The Crown was really good. A little bit unbelievable in some places, but I liked it.
Got a question from Glenda. She says, Victims is my favourite song of all time.
Wow.
What is yours and why?
I hope I haven't written Glenda. Is it Glenda?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope I haven't written that yet. I think as a writer, you're always hoping that you're going to write that song, you know, and you never know when it's going to land, you know, but yeah, I'm always, but thus far, one that I've written, that's a tough one. I can't say. I mean, maybe Life is kind of, I think Life is very much a representation of who I am right now. When I sing it, I always feel really comfortable singing it. You know, it feels like me speaking about me now. So that would be for now. I'm just reading some of the comments online.
Loads and loads of comments coming in. They're coming in really quickly as well. Really quickly. Karina asks, have you ever received an unusual, or what is your most unusual fan gift that you've received?
Once somebody sent me a box of clothing from Japan, and it was like basically female clothing, so it was like underwear, panties, bras, all sorts of weird objects. I don't know if the person was planning to move in with me, so they thought they'd send their sort of belongings ahead. It was the maddest thing, and I was just like, maybe I should have kept it as an art piece. It was so bonkers. I was like, look, this is not going to fit me, you know. You know, I don't mind it, bra. You know?
Got a few more hellos. Hev says, can you send me a big kiss, George?
That's for you, Hev.
Raphael in Portugal says hello. Also,
Raphael.
Gianluca from Italy.
Come stai?
Stefan says, please bring back your wonderful musical Taboo.
That's something I would love to do at some point. I'm always talking to our writer, Davis Markham, about that possibility, and I hope that will happen at some point, because it is a lovely musical, and it kind of has this kind of weird cult status now. You know, a lot of people do those songs for auditions, and that's beautiful, you know, to hear people singing Stranger in This World or Illador or Petrified. And in fact, I might do some of those songs when I do my gigs with Brandon. Yes.
Mariano asks, will there be any dance remixes of any of the tracks from the new album?
We've just been listening to a very fun dance remix of Life, which is the most unlikely track to be remixed, but actually Freddie Bastone, is it Bastone? I think it's Freddie Bastone in New York has done a mix, and it is really cool. It's kind of got I would say it's kind of got a little bit of a 90s Happy Mondays kind of early Oakenfold feel about it, like Alfredo in Ibiza kind of vibe, you know. You can imagine doing the stacking shelves dance to it, you know. It's and it's, you know, as I say, Life is the last track in the world I would even think about having a mix of, but it's good. It's really good. Some of you will hate it, some of you will love it.
Kim says, thanks for doing what you do. Have you ever thought about creating an album of covers?
Well, I was discussing that, but now, having made an album of original material, I am less excited by that concept. I mean, I like to do covers, I like to cover things, but I like to find obscure things. I mean, there's so many songs that people cover over and over and over again, you know, jazz standards and just classic songs, and there's just so many other great songs that could be, you know, recorded. So if I were to do it, I would definitely find something, you know, unusual to cover, but I would also always want to write new things. I think I've got stuff to say.
Lewis says, hey George, did you help design the cover for the new album?
I did indeed. This is one of my daubings here. And then I had it embroidered onto a shirt, and then they have these long bits coming off. This is my Scar Man. I call him the Scar Man. There's a Scar Man waiting in the sky. And he kind of represents sort of sadness and melancholy and individuality. Look, it opens up.
Got a question from Wendy. She says, if you were to have a film made about your life, who would you like to play you?
Oh, I know, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones. I like the idea of a girl playing me, since I spent most of my teenage life trying to be a girl. And also nowadays, with all the kind of, you know, sort of gender fluidity, you know, it wouldn't be such a weird thing to have a girl play me. And, you know, I would describe myself as gender furious.
Got a question from Tina. She says, will you be performing songs from the new album on your tour?
We are doing, obviously, our hits. We do all the classic songs, and then we sort of pepper the show with new things. And then we're also talking about doing a Wham song in the show, which will be lovely. And, you know, maybe a Bowie song as well. We'll see. We're still discussing what covers, but we basically do all our hits, and then we sort of stick in a few new songs. And it's going to be great because, you know, you'll know the songs, so you won't feel alienated from them. Remember, a new song is just a friend you haven't embraced.
Got a question from Donna. She asks, what is the best part of releasing a new album, and what's the hardest part?
You know what, an album is from the artistic point of view, is beyond kind of commerce. It's a body of work. And, you know, and there's sometimes when you read reviews and you just think, oh my God, you've brushed over stuff that's so integral and important, and that's always disappointing. But I always say it matters to whom it matters. See how I'm answering your question like a politician. I'm not actually giving you an answer. But I think that, you know, I'm really interested in the people that kind of connect with the songs and make a kind of emotional investment in the music and kind of get, you know, what I'm trying to say. And you know, an album is a piece of art. You know, it's an emotional journey. So when you read people like, you know, dismissing things, and you know, one of the reviews said, "Oh, everything's the same and nothing's different." I mean, you couldn't be further from the truth. Everything is not the same. Everything is so different that it's just beggars belief to hear someone say that. I mean, just like, no, you've got it wrong. You know, even just this song, you know, to treat it as an aside is kind of offensive to me, actually. That's very serious. It can be.
Got a question from Larry. He says,
Larry.
Do you still DJ?
I do occasionally DJ. I DJ a bit in Australia at Cafe Del Mar, which is because it's like an old school kind of vibe. But I don't play EDM. I'm a house DJ, so house music is my love. And there are some places that you can play house music, but to be honest with you, you know, I DJ when I can, but I'm much more focused on kind of making music right now. I do dance music. I mean, I've just released a track with Vangelis Polydoro called Borderline on Spotify, so you can get that. Got stuff online with DJ Lady Lloyd. You know, I've got my label BGP, which you can buy stuff from. And I'm really selling today. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it doesn't really work, does it, when you tell people to buy things? They never listen. They never obey you.
Got a question from Bryce. He says, well, have you had any highlights from the current tour?
Oh my God, the whole tour was just amazing. You know, because I think in America, people, first of all, I think a lot of the audience didn't know what we were going to be like. It's been a long time since they've seen us. And people have some really strange ideas about who I am or who I was. And engaging with me now, I think, is a very different experience. And I think the shows are warmer. You know, I try to engage with the crowd and, you know, bring them into the kind of experience. You know, I am a very different performer. I mean, I've talked about this a lot in interviews recently, that when I was younger, you know, if I was in a bad mood, I would take that on stage. You know, I would make it part of my performance as if it was sort of part of my sort of musical integrity, that, you know, this is how I feel and you've all got to suffer. I don't do that anymore. I regard the kind of stage as a sort of sacred realm, and I try to kind of walk on there and be as, you know, positive as I can be, and to put on the best show that I can. So the whole tour for me was full of highlights. And it was great, you know, doing tour with the B-52s, you know, coming out and watching them and just seeing how they sent the crowd into a complete frenzy, and thought, wow, you know, this is going to be fun. So yeah, and working with Tom Bailey from the Thompson Twins, that was awesome. God, I can't believe I just said awesome. It's better than great. It's really great. I've been in America too long.
Got loads of questions coming in. Joanna says, will you be returning to the US?
Yes, I'm hoping to be in America before I go to Australia. Hoping to be doing some stuff in LA early in the new year. So yeah.
And just a few more hellos. Carlo, Gemma and Lynette.
Hi Carlo, Gemma and Lynette.
And Thomas and Stephanie as well.
Hi Thomas and Stephanie.
And quite a few people are asking about a possible, would you be interested in doing a Vegas residency?
The thing about Vegas is, what do you do that hasn't been done? You know, do you want to go and compete with everybody else and do, you know, a sort of really glitzy show, or do you want to do something more revealing, you know, like more dystopian? I love that word, you know, with a sort of big broken chandelier, you know, like kind of sort of like industrial, sort of contradictory. I was thinking like Vegas could be quite good, but it's something that we've talked about, but we'll see.
And I think we've probably only got time for one more question. Jennifer asks, what message or feeling do you hope people take away after they listen to the album?
Well, I think that life, one of my favourite books is a book called The Road Less Travelled, and the opening of that book, oh my God, that's not right. The opening of that book is life is tough, and when you accept that, you know, you'll be happier. Life is also beautiful. It's complicated. It's, you know, the album is about life on life's terms, which is a real recovery term. But in recovery, we talk about living life on life's terms, you know, dealing with things as they come at you. And I think that the album is, you know, joyfully cynical. It's kind of, it's optimistic. It's very Gemini. It's contradictory. It's, you know, just songs about life and love and lust and rage and all of those things. Silence, you know, it's everything in there. And obviously, you know, trains are a kind of theme running through the album. You know, Runaway Train, and also in life I sing about trains, because when I was a kid, trains were the things that kind of helped me escape from suburbia and take me to the bright lights of the West End. So I used to love a train. Trains were my sort of getaway car back in the 70s. So that's a general theme on the album. But yeah, this album is about life and its many discontents. Thank you so much. Been really nice talking at you. I've now become my album.